Welcome everybody, this is Evelyn and I have a Metatron read for you, a message of the day, and the twin flame spread on the table for you. I also have some very significant messages that came up with, especially the Metatron read. So I want to get right into it. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath first. You might want to send some love out to the world while you're doing that. Let's take another deep breath. One more deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to you guys. Hope you're having a great day. It's beautiful and sunny here today. And thank you all for joining me. All right, so we're going to roll the die too. The first thing we're going to do is the Metatron read from today, because I've been getting some really significant messages with my Metatron reads. They're triggering my knowing, and so this is where my messages come from. It is a channeled reading. This is my Metatron read with the underlying energies. This is the bottom of the deck. First card out is here, and they go across like this into these three here, and then these are the final cards. And if I get more cards, sometimes I don't. This is like an after message, okay? And so from this Metatron read, let's roll the dice first too. For the twin flames, this is for, today is February 27th, 2022. And it's 3:27 on the clock. 27 is the Ace of Wands, which actually happens to be the card that's on the twin flames today, the Ace of Wands. We have Libra here, so all about balance and truth. And we have Venus here as well, so that loving energy. I got that loving feeling. And again, that's Libra and Taurus. And then we have the 8, which is also Leo, of the Strength card, and the dance between the masculine and feminine, manifesting your dreams, but also inner and outer strength. The dance between the masculine and feminine, and it's like the love dance, right? Because it's Libra, which is love, and Venus, which is love, and then the 8 of the dance between the masculine and the feminine. So it's very much that the aspects of Venus that have come up now through April, I believe it is, really going into the tango of the masculine and the feminine. So this was interesting too, because I put UFOs out. I put the short video as well as the pictures I got, because the pictures are easier to actually see the UFOs, but check them out on Instagram if you want to, under Twin Flames 3344. But it was funny because I started to watch a movie called UFO last night, and I didn't finish watching it because it was getting boring for me. But then UFOs, that was last night, and then UFOs came up this morning, and I was just taking I took a 30-second video of the sun, and it just looked like nothing was happening. It was just a really blue sky. There was no clouds, the sun, and I often don't get anything when the clouds aren't there. It's actually easier to see stuff coming up when the clouds are there. When it's bright and sunny, it just looks like, a perfect sky. But for some reason, my guidance kept telling me to look at the video again, even though I wasn't seeing anything. And there was a whole bunch of UFOs coming up in that sun video, so check them out. Okay, so and again, this is about listening to your intuition, because I wasn't going to look at that video at all, because it was a real quick one. There's nothing unusual, but I was being guided to look at it again, and that's a lot of the ways I've found things in my short videos, is through my guidance telling me where to look. So that might be a good way for you to practice doing certain things or practicing your abilities. Okay. So, and that video, by the way, was this morning, 9:08 to 9:09 a.m. And I don't know what else came up before that. Oh yeah, and the carpenter, a lot of energy around carpenters were coming up. The carpenter bee, but also carpenters in general. So there's that energy about the carpenter coming up in general. And then the Metatron read. This was at 9:55 this morning when I started. Something on the other page. And the bottom of the deck was the gold card, which is like the Ace of Cups. It's the Holy Grail, except the number on that card is 16, which is the Tower. So it can be that, you know, that gold of sudden epiphanies. The first card out was Wake Up Call and the 11 of Alignment. And there was an airplane overhead at that time. The colors that came up for the read today were orange and gold and yellow of the solar plexus. So we have both yellows, the yellow and gold of the Christ consciousness. And then the lilac and blue, which again are those higher realm energies of the throat chakra, speaking your truth, and going into the crown energies and those higher realms. So kind of both ends here with the orange and yellow, staying away from the root, although that did come up a little bit today. It's kind of balanced there, though, you know, between the orange and yellow, and then the lilac and blue together, and then the gold being the unity consciousness energy coming up. As far as elements, just fire came up. So perhaps there's a lot of fire. Maybe you're getting energy or inspiration to get things done. And so as I start this read, it was 10-4, which is, of course, it doesn't mean this anymore, but when I was growing up, it meant message received. I think it has different meanings these days. But the first card out was the Big Bird, Queen of Swords, which was coming up today. And I always tell you every time that that's how I was getting at one point. The birds see me, or us humans, as them, but bigger, right? With a big rainbow triangle in the middle and wings. It's kind of funny, actually. But the embodiment of the Golden Gate and the Christ Unity Consciousness was coming up as at the Golden Gate, that Jesus has your back, that you are the portal with wings. So remember that. Okay? You are the masters. You are the embodiment of Source who has your back. You are the portal with wings. And then they were guiding me to draw the triangles of the Merkaba from bottom to bottom, and then point to point, and then the actual Merkaba, and showing me the, again, the square, right? Because the two triangles together is the square or the diamond, depending on your perspective. But they're showing me the right triangle, which is the square, coming together, but then causing movement in it, which becomes the more angled square or the diamond, which is the unilateral, or excuse me, the equilateral triangle, as opposed to the right angle. The right angle is the square. The equilateral triangle is the triangle used in the Merkaba because it's equal in all angles and also congruent to each other. So the right angle in movement becomes the equilateral triangle. So they're showing me the process again. So this was very interesting. So the equilateral triangle is equal and congruent to each other in all angles, right? Because they're all 60 degrees, whereas the right triangle is the 90 degrees with two 45-degree angles in the square. And then what came up online was from electricalarea.com was Ohm's law. It's OHMS, Ohm's law, which is in electrical engineering, that voltage applied between 2 points isn't directly proportional to the current flowing through it, being that all conditions are constant. So again, voltage equals current, which is the letter I, times R, which is resistance. So that was coming up, but they also were showing a triangle picture, which is called the triangle technique, I guess as a reminder when you're doing work that it's the triangle with V in the top section of the triangle, and then I and R are the lower two sections. So when you're talking about voltage, it's the I times R, and when you're talking about the resistance, it's V minus R. So whatever voltage equals I times R, so whatever that works out to be, but it's just a little kind of like a cheat symbol. So from the right angle to the equilateral angle gives direction or movement. So again, this has been coming up a lot lately, how to go from that static toroidal field of exploding and imploding at the same time to make it move, and how to direct or channel energy. and this is what's coming up here. So then literally the word love was coming up regarding this, where L is the right angle, but you know, L isn't equal on both sides. It's like a rectangle as opposed to a square. So that then becomes an unequal triangle, right? Which is still a right triangle. It's the letter L, which is that right angle. But then it brought up the 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. The right angle of love is the L of the right angle, the O of the human embodiment of source, the V, which is creation, and then, which is also equal and congruent because it's open to connection or the current to run through it. The V is a triangle without the bottom on it, but that's on the top with the V. And then the E, as I always say, is the one with the 3 lines across, which means equal and congruent to. So literally love means those 4 things. And then they were having me put the love letters all together in one box. And it was very interesting the way it all came up. So the right angle is 90 degrees of human embodiment of source and creation, which is the V, that's equal and congruent to. So, and remember there can be a 30-degree triangle too with 2 equal other angles, which are 75 and 75, but the 30, 60, 90 was coming up as very significant. It actually came up yesterday when I put in unilateral triangle, which doesn't come up for anything except for in quilting. And that's where the 30, 60, 90 came up, which is very significant because one of the messages I got early on was about from my grandmother was piecing the quilt together, and she's no longer living, but she was showing me the quilt and piecing it together. So if the 90, 45, 45 degree right triangle is source, or the number 9 of 90, and the 45 and 45, which is the 5 of cups and purging, the 9 is compassion and the purge times 2, but the equilateral triangle of 60, 60, and 60, well, 60 is the 6 of swords, which is peace, and 6 is the lovers, and of course 0 being source energy. Or the human that's equal and congruent to peace and love across the board. So 30 degrees is coming up as the quilting ruler, the piecing together, which is also like referencing the 3D, the unilateral ruler, or the linearity, so to speak, that we live in a linear world. The 30, 60, 90 triangle, where the shorter side is exactly half of the hypotenuse, and the length of the opposite side of that 30-degree angle is that same side, which is half of the hypotenuse. And it's called, the labeling for it was triangle or delta POQ. That is the right triangle with a 30-degree angle, which then leaves the other angle at 60 degrees. So the 30-degree angle was coming up as the symbol 0, the 60-degree was coming up as P, and the 90-degree angle was coming up as Q. And POQ is also coming up as power of questions, which came up yesterday, that the question is the important part, not the answer, not the goal, not the finalization, right? And I looked up in math too, from discreteopenmathbooks.org, that P represents the hypothesis and Q the conclusion, or the letters are just variables in a mathematical equation. But some other symbols came up there that I never usually see, which is the backwards E in a squared off way, which means existential quantifier, whereas the upside down A, capital A, means universal quantifier. The V means logical or disjunction, whereas the upside down V, or the pyramid without a bottom on it, means logical and conjunct. And then the key that's lying down like this, I also wrote down for whatever reason, means logical negation. And the Holy Grail means, or the U, means set union, and the upside down Holy Grail means set intersection, which can be separation. So, by the way, today being the 27th is the Ace of Wands today, which is also how we're seen today, so it's coming up a lot. And then the day adds up to 35, which is the Wounded Warrior. which came up as the last card right here. Okay, so very significant for today. So the 30, 60, 90 triangle, I was going through some drawings here about the movement and what they were trying to get me to. The circle, of course, when it shows movement or angles, becomes the ellipsis or the oval shape in showing movement, and then becomes the egg also as the gift. Okay, so just showing you some of the pictures so you're kind of following a little bit about my train of thought here. So here's the L in that triangle, the 30, 60, 90, and then the oval of the ellipsis with the angles here of the triangles and the squares, and just showing, you know, what triangles are actually in the oval as opposed to the circle. Okay, so the circle then shows movement into this, just like the square shows movement into the diamond. It becomes more diamond shaped as it goes on an angle. So then I was going back to my clock representation that I showed you yesterday about my double QE2 with the clock in the middle of it. And that was all piecing together again today. So what was coming up is when I go from my QE2 type of example, and that can be E's in both directions, it still comes out as that kind of rectangular look. When you do the two hearts, the two circles, it's actually with the twos becomes the heart shape here in my example. So this was very interesting where it took me here, because if you draw the heart, the two hearts, or the two twos rather, coming together to make a heart, it makes the shape of the omega, because the two twos are actually separate pieces, not a whole heart. And they come together as the explosion. So literally, the circle with this piece being pulled down inward, this is like a collapsing of the field, right? It's bending of the field. If you can see that in a 3D way, it's bending over to collapse that part right there into the middle, which then becomes that shape of the heart. But that action of collapsing inward into the heart is what I was bringing up the other day about in the show I was watching, when they're pulling back the bow and arrow and they twist the bow right before they shoot. And it's that twist or that little tweaking or shift, the roll of the die, the twist of the arrow is before the explosion. By doing that, this pulling into the heart, that is the twist of the explosion that pulls in the implosion. It's like that, just needing that little tweak or that oh so slight move, like when I'm looking in my videos for the UFOs. You know, I have to move it really slowly to catch them, to capture that picture. So from Dan Winter and Elena Danaan, he was talking about the implosion of compression and plasma getting into the array. And Elena and Dan, in their conversation, were talking about how she had met Anki, and that his explanation of history, and how Anki is Atun and Thoth, they're all probably the same, but also are in the category of Uncle Tom, that the 9 was called, and she's also connected with the 9 recently, so this is why they were talking about this. So, and she had also brought up that Yak means moon, and Thoth also means moon, and she's an archaeologist. So again, the twist or the turning point, and this is bringing my information into what they were talking about in the plasma vortex. And they were talking about how this is referencing in the change of our DNA. So the gold wings on the ark, right, as in the Holy Grail, were in a plasma container, so to have thought, because the ark was thought to contain radiation. So it makes sense that the wings were of plasma, because they'd be able to handle that radiation. And the way he was speaking of it, Dan Winters, the soul is equal to the ability to implode and be part of the array, or coherent longitudinal ferrometry, plasma superconsciousness. And then he speaks of phase conjugation, which always cracks me up, because conjugation has to do with the marriage, but also breaks down into conning the Jew at the gate in connection, the phase conjugation. The physical transformation of a wave field, so I just looked this up as a definition in Wiktionary. The physical transformation of a wave field where the resulting field has a reversed propagation or increase in the population, the field, or the movement in direction, but keeps its amplitudes and phases, which I spoke about before regarding what he was talking about interrupting, but it not being a disruptive interruption. So changing something, but not changing its pattern while changing its direction. So it's also using holographic or parametric pumping, which is as opposed to transducing. Transduces, it doesn't do that. Both techniques allow the amplification or increase of the conjugation or union as compared to by accident or an incidental wave or just happening. So it's like increasing your chances of bringing that union together. So it's very interesting how this parallels with the twin flames. So the non-disruptive interruption of longitudinal compression that he always talks about, and then me converting explosion to implosion without disrupting the form by that slight twist or tweaking or shift. And then I was getting the eclipse of the heart, which was then going back to my drawing I just showed you. The heart is just, the actual heart isn't actually shaped like the heart we draw. It's more rounded, right? And that's the actual shape of the circle. Just like if you were drawing on Illustrator, if you take the point at the top of the circle and you pull it down towards the center, you're going to get this drawing. And this is the heart in either direction, but collapsed. The circle collapsed from the middle of that toroidal field, right? So here's your toroidal field. This is the explosion and explosion, either way. This way is the apple, the two cheeks of the apple. And again, the donut and the apple. This is the two perspectives of the apple, the toroidal field. And this is the same thing. These two hearts are the two circles here in the toroidal field, which I also showed you yesterday, become this pod of the 9 and the 6, and then that becomes the 8, and the 7 is the key. So this is like bending the field, right? So when this breaking into the heart happens, it puts a tear in the field. And as this is explosion, this is implosion, and these tears happen in both directions of these two hearts, it creates a vacuum pulling the explosion into the implosion here. Very interesting the way this was coming up. So this is also a pod, which is funny because, of course, the dating show and all the pods where they don't get to see each other before they decide to get married or not. So it's all referencing the same type of stuff. Bending the field to create an opening within the heart to create a vacuum, and then pulls back in the explosion without by a rip in the fabric, the tear, the fractal, the break of the heart, the fracture. The ripping open the wound within the heart to pull in the projection outward to focus within and then seal it up, right? So you tear the heart apart and then you heal it up. Again, just like a wound that hasn't healed right, you break it, you tear it back open again in order to allow it to fresh heal again, which then creates an overlap in the center. So then creates that kind of circle right in the center, which is like what I saw the other day in my meditation, where there was an explosion in space of the toroidal field, and then I saw this mouth in the middle of it throwing up, which then I told you the petals then came back in and collapsed around it because it was filling up with matter. So this overlap of the two tears, because the tearing of the both circles, the circles are still hitting each other. So when they bend, it creates kind of an overlap in either direction. That's how that circle there in the middle occurs. And then it becomes two cones, bottom to bottom, which creates an overlap, the two cyclones meeting at the base chakra, the root chakra, which again, the cone looks like the cyclone. The first time I got activated, I literally saw everything clear from my head, and all of a sudden this purple cyclone just came in. It's just swooping around, boom, 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 like and it didn't remind me of the cyclone because it wasn't that fast. It was slowly going around, so it was kind of collapsing because it was bendable. So meeting at the base chakra and seeing that actual chakra swirling around and bonding the two of them together, starting over from scratch. So at 0 point, which the 0 point is the middle of the field, right here where the implosion explosion happens, that's the 0 point, the quantum leap with the arrows in either direction there. Same thing here is the pod of the 6 and the 9, it's the same thing. So at that 0 point in the middle is a rip within, simultaneously with your twin that pulls in the field or the array, the plasma into the ray that Dan Winters was talking about, or the angular movement where chaos that comes in becomes organized. And here in the pod, the 6 and the 9 show the movement out in direction as opposed to straight up and down. So the chaos becoming organized, which came up this week too, is about just like the cell splitting and relating that to a fire drill, right? There's a bunch of chaos at the fire drill as the cell splits, and then as they get into their separate groups and everybody gets in single file to go out the door, it's the same reference to the cell splitting thing. It's the same thing that's coming up here regarding bringing in chaos, and which is life, and organizing it, right? So that's what we do in life. We have chaos or energy, and we find some kind of form in that chaos, something that feels good to us. So breaking the heart when you can't otherwise get in it, right, because it's so closed off. The tower is that just jump moment, right, when you don't want to go into that freezing cold pool and you just jump, right, to rip the Band-Aid off. The buildup of fear and the breaking through it, the ring of fire to get to the other side. Sometimes the door must be broken down to get it emergently, to get in there emergently to save someone. And sometimes that someone is yourself. So at 12:19, which is the hanging man in the sun, Big Bird comes up here, and B, the capital B is the number 13 as well. So Big Bird was coming up again today as 13IG, 13IRD, Big Bird, which is the transition to I God and transition to I Path. The Queen of Swords in the rainbow, 60-60-60 triangle, with wings where all are equal and congruent with peace and love, trying different angles or angels with two U's in half, inside, in anointing each other, side by side, one of two and one of two. Thoth is the human embodiment of Source expanding infinitely in all directions, not just time-space, but the continuum, the thereafter. The Queen of Wands is being called again to stretch up and lunge and release that energy. The Queen of Wands is the energy one, right? To feed the bird, the Golden Gate, and the unity consciousness, the elevator up to the 33rd floor to that Golden Gate. And remember what I told you about the GG and the 6-6? They're the same thing, different representations of the Golden Mean. So we have the 33rd floor talking about the Golden Gate, which is the 66, to the Agent 99, the source of compassion. The gold cup of replenishment in sudden events, epiphanies, or sexual exchange, in organizing chaos. The womb heart, or Holy Grail, feeds the 30-60-90 degree triangle, which feeds the equilateral rainbow triangle, the Antakarana bridge, and the 60-60-60 triangle, which is of peace and love, at 180 degrees of 144 to the next octave. From the 144, which remember 4s break down to L's and 1s, so 144 becomes the LL, or the lower level, to 111. Not just 1, but actually 0, because 0 is the all, 1 is a connection between 2. 0 is equal and congruent, and 2 keys in alignment with each other at 180 degrees, which is Source backing up the moon, that purple moon, each with Source support of the purple moon. And the M, of course, as I always say, is the M of the Mary Magdalene, the N of her other half, and the 2 O's in the middle, swooning with Google eyes, in June under the silvery moon at 12:33, which again is the hanged man and Jesus Christ on the cross, but again, the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness. Swooning with Google eyes in June under the silvery moon, throwing a little shade or privacy, please. You don't understand or understand anyone. You feel with your heart instead. So to say you understand is to understand someone, to stand beneath them. So don't do that. Feel with your heart. Wake up call here. In the first column here, the wake up call to clear connection of alignment over the rainbow bridge to that pot of gold on the other side, which isn't really a goal, it's just the jump to the next, and so on. The wind beneath your wings, or natural resistance, right? Because the wind is a natural resistance to your wings. It keeps you up in the air. Hold on one second, I need to correct something I wrote. The wind beneath your wings, or natural resistance, where the Metatron bridge meets Big Bird Thoth, the turning point or shift to landing point or jump meets in transition to I God and I Road, or research and development. I ignore, I guess, I sweat, I water or emote, and I hiccup. Ellipsis, ... I am. Alignment of the cell, or the call of the wild, the clarion call of clear, connect, and the rainbow bridge to the Queen of Cups' light body, activated in that collapsing of the fabric of the universe, like I showed you, by centripetal force, or going within to the center, and reflexology, the center of the foot, and the print, or prince of balance. Dualistic King of Wands. The divine masculine, remember, is number 1. The masculine is one-sided. They have innovation, which meets the divine feminine, which is number 2, who's two-sided, seeing both sides of the situation, and she helping him see where he cannot, conquering their fears about healing and dreaming of Dracos and dragons, of fire and strength, and of the sun and the equilateral pyramid that becomes a diamond at an oblique angle. The dragon sun feeds Mary Magdalene as the collective awakens to the spring expansion and creativity, the flowering, the flowing, flowing urgently into God, or number 9 of compassion and the universal and collective consciousness. So again, there's that God. You notice that God, the G, the capital G, is the golden mean, and the lower G is the number 9 for the collective, for the 9. All right, so the 6 and the 9, which becomes the 8 of the pod together. The 6 reaching up, and the 9 of the God consciousness reaching down to us to meet us in the middle. At number 8, at the 5 D is the jump-off pad for all the other dimensions, to dance in the pods. Thanksgiving every day. Bugling abundant synchronicities and colors and foods, blessings and thanks each day. In the sun's rays at 12:53, the hanging man and the Knight of Swords, the high vibe new dawn, and welcome back, wishing well, come back to release some more wounded warrior Kundalini into the collective awakening back to Mother Gaia. OMG, the human mother, right? The human experience on Mother Gaia. Pause to receive healing and coming together with healing hands, blessed and thankful. The out to the sun. Then out to the sun. Then out to the sun to collect more for everyone. As the feminine is collecting that energy, that frill energy. Organizing chaos, such as life, pulling it in and finding a place for it in your shadow pack or your energy stores. Hermit move, after all, number 9, you are the source, as the Knight of Wands brings passion for life to get things going, on path. Remember love boundaries daily, of patience and balance and nature, with keys that radiate an aura, which is the gold ray, through arcs and rockets and trails, and castles and steeples to the sun portal as it sets in the west each day. For the castle in a cloud and the purple moon to be seen, higher realms and magic of the Page of Swords and their message of lilacs and blues, and the presence of Madonna, Milady, and husband and wife, holding space for each other to stand strong as beacons of light, 44, shine on, grounding and integrating and mastering at the Y in the road, or that 0 point, which is GIMY, jimmying the jump, jiggling the key, tweaking just a little bit, a twist of the bow, to stand up and aim and shoot that arrow in the direction of your choice. Just a little more, just to the left or just to the right, shining light upwards and outwards to the cosmos and beyond, dodeca, which is 12, and icosa, which is matter, and number 20, the double-decker, cause I matter, or do deck. Perhaps do the deck, because I matter, with wise decision to get clearer each day on what matters. With Archangel Sandalphon with the lyra, or the lyre, the Lyran energy, the Fool's Journey of St. Dolphin and the Lyran, with you now, creative and musical, the message in a bottle that you are, are you, which then is a reference to Russia. Speak and be heard with shell, note, voice, or instrument, where the land meets the sea, meets the sky, meets the I am, of freedom, change, and expansion, commitment and guidance with the Taurus North Node, and the Knight of Swords with armor that needs to come off. The key to codependent lock is at the root, with clear connections at the top, where all the little babies are, and big gaping hole in the middle of the trunk, starting from scratch and then working your way back, top down this time, collapsing all to the middle to seal the deal at 117, the magician and dreams coming true. Healing up the family tree is the key to your freedom, as spring is here for the carpenter bee to pollinate the buttercup yellow of the Mary Magdalene and the journey on together. And Spirit's connecting with me very strongly right now. At 119 is the magician and the 19 of the sun, both earth and galactic travel, horizontal and vertical, getting a handle on your earth nature in order to expand and work on your plasma connections at 121, which is the magician and the world. The underlying energy of the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands, going for the gold, the Golden Gate, and the Crazy Eights, dance. And then the clarion call of the cool plasma wings, as Elena describes them, or a shout out for the King of Wands to come home for dinner, for nutrition and rebalancing tires, to help the collective. The Empress and Gaia receive the wounded warriors Kundalini, I meant to say Kundalini, to receive the wounded warriors Kundalini or Kundalini and help them transmute. As Metatron Rainbow to conquer fears and dreams coming true, where angels fear to tread, with synchronicities and blessings and thanks every day, and pausing to receive healing and joy yourself. The Queen of Cups with her light body and the Sun Dragon's strength of fire in a new dawn of the age of Aquarius, receiving the chaos and allowing the chips to fall where they may, and that could be a plug for the month of May as well, into your shadow pack for use later perhaps. You may not know what it's for now, but knowing it may be useful to creating something later. Go with the flow of light and dark transformation, receiving the sun to allow the dark to be seen at 132, which is the magician and the journey of magician embodiment, and learning all your gifts. So yeah, that was really cool. And I'm going to have to make some official, technical drawings of my QE2 times 2 and my pod there, because they're very significant. Okay, so let's go back to, I do have a quick message of the day and then the big read on the table. So it's 3944 if anyone wants to put that on the comments to mark the time for this message of the day. And so this was done at 9:14 last night. And the underlying energy was the bat, the pest, the sun, and the thoughts. And I'll show you the picture of that. So here's my message of the day read. This is a 4-deck read with the Animal Spirit deck, the LENORMAND REVERIE, the GILDED, and the KIPPER deck. So spaced out after Rugrats, or perhaps a party or a kid's party or something like that, or pests, maybe dealing with pests, and the King of Wands, sunshine, happiness, exposure of man with sudden thoughts of a woman. The truth is out, the black egg of the throat chakra, and the hyena slinking away, perhaps feeling guilt and shame, and the fish out of water, feeling like a fish out of water, perhaps just really ungrounded, and the bat lost in space, as the wounded warriors pulling up anchor with sudden stardom, galactic past, the high priestess, the divine feminine luck, as loving man with one final rose at 9:22, the hermit and the fool's journey. With shadow bear keeping rugrats or pests away, or the King of Wands and codependent divorce, or a break in contract, religion, establishment, or Taurus, or thinking outside the box, falling out issues with kids or the past returning, with the Knight of Swords rushing back to get over a loss or regret of that ship sailing suddenly, or with a sudden event here, epiphany or sexual exchange, or sudden imbalance, or inequity exposed, and it came to light, or some kind of reveal here, with Taurus reversed and Scorpio upright, Leo upright here, aligning with sudden wealth, or wealthy man with concerns of the King of Cups walking away, impoverished, on the wounded warrior's pathway to loving mature woman of distant horizons, of ship pulling up their anchor, of Atlas and the weight of the world, and the man with sudden thoughts of a woman. The first section here is at 9:30, which is the hermit and the union, or the home, with the dragonfly, the buffalo, and the spider. So 2 is 1, or very etheric kind of flighty energy, with well-grounded buffalo. So very different energies here, very flighty and kind of, maybe someone would call them a space cadet or something like that. And then again, very ungrounded. And the well-grounded buffalo, who's heavenly too, and the spider in the web here. The firefly, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the King of Swords upright, in a stable courtship or in the Emperor's court. The buffalo with direction of 1-to-1, or perhaps a one-on-one relationship, carrying the weight of the world with dangerous cargo, inspired by unexpected income, or unexpected incoming. The spider in the web may be a romantic pup or with a romantic little pup, wanting another to take the lead, insecure without tools at the house or the big house or the gated community or final judgment, as the King of Swords is burdened by manipulation or insecurities regarding a home, with Leo, Cancer, and Gemini reversed, Aries and Aquarius here as well. The second section is the hummingbird, the otter, the butterfly, and the cobra, in a high vibe Pollyanna with otter, and transformation with cobra or teacher. The hummingbird with a wise group of birds or friends, dependent or message with chariot or Cancer, the vehicle of ascension or infiltration at 9:40, which is the hermit and the page of cups. Curious otter, loving lady, present to the Queen of Swords with the light, and the Queen of Cups, who's doing hard labor. The butterfly transforming as the fox leaves for patience or a higher love, or child in transition, in separation or disappointment, with a busy occupation, or occupied by the energetic exchange at 9:43, which is the hermit and the 3 of Cups of coming together, or being in joy. The cobra teacher with child in transition under the radar, with romantic little girl, and powerless Queen of Swords upright to separation and failure, with Pisces, Sag, Scorpio, and Cancer here. The third section is the golden egg, the lamb targeted, the firefly, and the songbird. The heart chakra, the golden child, and the innocent lamb, a bright spark, as the nightingale clears the air. The golden egg with doors to open on the fool's journey, recovering from exile. 28, the choice of path, and the lady expecting, or perhaps just looking out the window. The lamb with lover's breakthrough, finding a way out from the Knight of Cups community to recover with her, and the firefly in spiritual union of peace and maturity, with justice in death or laying to rest. The songbirds singing their heart out for the power man with choice to make and clarity about wise privileged lady, recovering and finding a way out of their chains, justice of new information perhaps. The lady expecting the Knight of Cups of the community to expose a case and end it with privileged lady and who's hanging out perhaps. And we have Aries, Gemini, Pisces, or Capricorn reversed, Libra upright, and Leo here. The fourth section is the cosmic egg and the whale. The collective awakening, or the crowning whale, on the ground with the Page of Wands upright, cracking codes to break patterns and offer gifts, perhaps. While the exhausted Queen of Cups is crossing twin flame bridges and disconnect or at a distance from false person or masked person, or the tango between the masculine and the feminine. Decisions made between the Page of Wands and the Queen of Cups, giving up the act to receive a gift of dreams coming true, with Aquarius and Leo here, perhaps Cancer too, and the fifth section here is the tiger, the bear, and the worm, the moth, the wolf, and the dear one. The tiger stalks while the bear caves for the worm, the moth to the flame as the wolf is stunned along with dear one. The tigers in negative energetic exchange with the Queen of Wands reversed, perhaps an official person, or perhaps someone's labeling them as officially a nut, or the Queen of Wands reversed, official person who arrived. The bear, loyal companion of the Queen of Wands reversed and the Empress upright, and the Hierophant, mature worldly man, with the worm, or the little one, keeping their energy to themselves, staying contained, destined to part from bad influences, a child of great fortune. Moth leaving to self-love, without options, with message of concern, and a high vibe love and patience, as the wolf, King of Cups, is collapsing timelines, keeping their cards close to their chest about the journey of despair, or the pair. And we have Libra, Taurus, Aquarius reversed, Aries, Sag, and Pisces here. Dear one trying to find their way through, depressed about an empty room or empty nest syndrome, or completion of a cycle, with no options for now. Hold on, I had to jump pages here. With no options for now or at night. And that could be Cancer energy right there as well. At 236, which is the High Priestess and the Atlas of the Weight of the World, the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community, may be holding their tongue here, with the Six of Cups upright, children or soulmates, or a fond past, grounding, integrating, or bored and defenseless without an excuse, with the Page of Swords reversed, ignoring them, or spying and lying or spreading rumors, juggling, performing, or distracting at night, or Cancer trying to end the stress, the suffering, the nightmare at last. And soon here's the Starseed reversed, being knocked for a loop, after a big download or sighting, announcing new growth, project, or new passion for those recovering, and the Dark Knight coming to see the Emperor, pre-announced perhaps before they enter, or they called first, and then again, or the Aquarius upright and Scorpio upright, Libra upright, and Aries both upright and reversed here, or perhaps an obituary listed, or a release about a death or death notice or funeral services, or someone who was kicked out and then was recovering from being kicked out, just to find that they pulled them right back in to cover their butts, or that you thought you were done and free, but then they pulled you right back in. The Emperor getting over loss, regret, and destined to be released or freed to implement a plan, to take a fall or push them off the ledge. The Fool getting off on investing or spending however they want and telling another to get over yourself. Or this could be foolish behavior and falling on their face, or from grace, or embarrassed and lacking faith. At 246, the High Priestess and the Six of Cups, the inner children or the outer children or the soulmates, or that fond past. Hopefully no one's paying here to have someone knocked off, or this is just someone's fear about what another is capable of. The twin flames seeing themselves as that Ace of Wands igniting a new passion, growth, and inspiration, or a project, or passion project, seeing synchronicities or having options, heaven in their eyes, focusing in on the one to magnetize the one running from the devil or the ball and chain, waving adios, or running from Capricorn temptation, or stealing from codependency or Capricorn to give to multiple others, or stashing in multiple accounts, while resting or on break, stabbing in the back, betrayal here, or painful ending, or getting a rest and massage to end the pain, to refresh and awaken before ending their singlehood, with the Knight of Cups proposing to lover here. The lover or Geminis over temptation or Capricorn or over their codependencies, or they may have been lying or cheating or stealing with multiples, or stashing away before they're unable to work anymore, or running from codependency and following their synchronicities to their 5D connection to end the pain, to awaken, and after having learned how to be happy with themselves, the Knight of Cups then is offering love to lover or a proposal there. And there's a big flame here, of course, with the Ace of Wands. With Capricorn upright, Gemini upright, and Pisces reversed, or inspired to get out of a situation relatively quickly, or a relationship quickly, with one waiting in the wings. It is safe to love very soon, and new love all come up for the twins here. And around the twins are how they're seen as the King of Pentacles upright, pushing buttons, or he himself is being pushed to the limit, and being strong or dumping on Leo, kids or pets. And the Queen of Swords reversed, pushing his buttons, or is silent, or is verbally abusive, or just yelling a lot, with the High Priestess backing them up. The Queen of Swords reversed, after the Queen of Swords is yelling and she's all of a sudden acting like an angel, all prim and proper, or of the highest integrity, right? So it could be two sides of somebody, not showing that side to the public. And then the block here being the Ace of Pentacles upright, of new life or offer, the Fool reversed, offering to another Fool reversed, or one fool encouraging another's foolish behavior, or lacking faith in investing in twin, or then who then in return lacks faith in their work or alignment at 303, which is the Empress and two Empresses, or the 30 of union, and the Empress or abundance and the earth. Self-discipline, parenting, and happy ending, but even more so here for the twins, is communication and spiritual career. Foolishly putting it all out there, or seen as embarrassing self. Or Aries reversed here, leading the way by giving free samples, or putting their butt out there and perhaps allowing others to sample their butt as well. The wounded warrior, again, that could be like overextending others' ability to reach out and touch them, okay? The wounded warrior double dating, or in the mountains with friends, as Aquarius upright and Libra reversed, or dealing with injustice or divorcing, or announcing that to the Ten of Pentacles family, business, or community, with Hierophant or Taurus grounding and integrating, or tired of hearing about it, or feeling sorry for themselves, and lacking faith or embarrassed by a family member's behavior perhaps. And that could be someone who's acting all prim and proper, but they actually probably have a bad temper at home. The wounded warrior here with the King of Pentacles, that can be the King of Pentacles here, the wounded warrior. So this is also someone acting like the King of Pentacles, but actually being the wounded warrior inside. So again, people still wearing masks of not showing their true colors. And this could be, the work persona and then the home persona. So the wounded warrior, King of Pentacles, resting or on break, at the beach or in 5D connection, or laid to rest, destined to dump a load, a burden, or responsibilities, or confess, or take a load off, defensive to energies or attacks, or trying to end the suffering in silence, or perhaps a sister's suffering in silence, or stress or nightmares, with the Hermit shedding light for them. Or this could be a professional visit as well at 311 with the Empress and the 11 of alignment of justice, truth, and balance. The Queen of Cups reversed, lovers, after the Queen of Swords reversed, disconnects or is at a distance from the King of Swords reversed. They're both reversed. And their marriage or guidance and moving to peace with the Queen of Cups reversed, lover, who received a passionate offer from the King of Pentacles, knowing they're protecting their heart to try to get over it, and challenged by the inequity of no new start or foolish behavior of offering time, money, and effort to pass information to the wounded warrior, King of Pentacles, on break and destined to confess without excuse to a sister, or without an excuse and suffering in silence about it, or just stressed out. With the Cancer, Aquarius, Libra, and Taurus all upright here, and Libra's reversed as well, and Aries reversed at 317 of coming together, the Empress, again joy, and then the 17 of healing and dreams coming true. With the Queen of Cups reversed, knowing and keeping to themselves, perhaps not telling their true feelings or about the heated exchange. With Lovers upright, getting over their loss, regret, guilt, and shame, and challenged by the inequity of passing downloads or information or new passion and knocked for a loop, as the King of Pentacles is offering time, money, and effort, or a new life to the wounded warrior or to themselves by resting, taking a break, or retiring, destined to take a load off, defenseless to energies or attacks, or anxiety attacks, with a sister or suffering in silence at 320, stressed out or coming out of hiding, or the big reveal. With the King of Cups upright and the Queen of Cups reversed, Lovers recovering from lying, cheating, or stealing, or a big reveal. So someone may have just had a party that they're recovering from. With new passion to prepare before a new start, the King of Pentacles feeling very wounded and in need of a rest, or destined to drop all their responsibilities, feeling defenseless and coming out of hiding at 324, which is the Empress and the Queen of Wands. So that could be a mother and daughter as well. There's a couple different couples here, because we have the King of Cups upright and the Queen of Cups reversed. We have the King and Queen of Swords who are both reversed and in disconnect or at a distance, so they could definitely be breaking up. Or those also could be, two lawyers who are just in a negative place right now. Or two air signs who are at each other's throats, because when they're both reversed, they're either silent or they're being verbally abusive. It can also be, abusing yourself, negative self-talk. That's for both of the swords energies. And then we have the King of Pentacles there at the end as the wounded warrior. But he's not with the Queen of Pentacles. He's got that Ten of Pentacles family nearby. So he's dealing with all that stuff. And the Queen of Pentacles is in the underlying energy with the Sovereign, which can be a child. But we've got the King of Wands over there. And that looks like someone switching relationships, right? Because the King and Queen of Pentacles are no longer together. The Queen of Pentacles is with the King of Wands. And I'm looking for the Queen of Wands. Give me a second here. And the Queen of Wands is upright, and so is the King of Wands, but they're separate too. And the Queen of Wands she may be knocked for a loop regarding the King of Swords reversed above her. She may be dealing with Pisces reversed as well, or the Divine Feminine. Anyway, like I said, it's going to be coming up, the masculine and the feminine in the dance of divorces, the dances of coming together, all of those different energies here. And again, endings and beginnings, right? Becoming empty nesters, retiring, all that stuff is coming up here. So let's pull just a couple cards to clarify at the end here. I'm sorry I didn't have that clear. It's all fuzzy. All right, so that's not too bad. It's only 58 minutes, but I don't want to do too much. I feel like pulling an energy from the Lenormand. Let me pull a card from here. What is our takeaway from the reads today? Okay, the park. So it could be parks and recreation, perhaps a party in the park. There's flowers. Maybe someone's going to, any kind of place that has a lot of flowers. There's a terrarium type of energy there, but this has to do with judgment and public meets as well. And again, this beautiful energy of being in a place with a lot of flowers and fountains and just being that kind of heaven on earth energy here with wise counsel. Okay, so we have the birds of wise counsel. And notice when I put this up to, it was like two flowers. I was getting like birds of paradise, the two flowers, and the two owls, the two wise birds, the grounder and the flyer. And there's a peacock over here who's white. And there's other doves there too. And two beautiful angel statues at the beginning, which I don't normally see. There could be a releasing of doves as well. This could definitely be some kind of wedding as well, celebration. Perhaps two parents, really proud of what they were able to create. Or just a couple and how proud they are of this yard that they created. And then here is sudden stardom or sudden galactic energies here with the Six of Cups. That can be a child star, right? The golden child. The second coming can come up with this card as well, because that came up yesterday. And then with luck here, right? The luck of the Irish and the clover and to making a wish. With the two, the High Priestess, the Divine Feminine. And then there's flowers, lots of flowers. Look. And then there's the Divine Masculine with their final rose. And the bottom of the deck is the Power Man 28, which is the Twin Flame, the choice of path. And making that choice. And then the cards that are coming out is him becoming his loving self, right? After being in an angry place. This is a union or home or a place of emotional maturity and wanting peace, right? To not want to feel stressed out all the time anymore, okay? Especially at night on the journey here, right? Wanting to come back to the middle of the road, perhaps mid-cycle, right? Find that peace at home or within, in the heart, okay? Finding that peace in heaven on earth with two wise birds of the stars, perhaps with galactic connections. And the stroke of luck here, or luck of the Irish, or making a wish with the Divine Feminine. Sudden events, epiphanies, and sexual exchange. The wisdom of hanging out, and the wake-up call of gifts. The Hermit of going within. And then, of course, the Bachelor with the final rose as the Ace of Cups, and new love comes in. So if you wanted romance, there you go. Okay, let's see what Journey of Love has to say. And again, the dice, we're all about Libra and Venus and the dance between the masculine and the feminine. The Lovers was upright in this read. The Two of Cups was reversed. It's like disconnecting or at a distance. So disconnecting from one thing, and then there's great affection or a lover outside of that, or being at a distance from someone that you'd like to see face to face. Okay, two upright there in the underlying energies too is the King of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. They're looking at me and they're both kind of looking in the same direction. They're both facing the past, but they're both looking forward. They're actually looking at that Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords who are talking, and then that Scroogey energy next to them, right? Whether that's hoarding or letting go. And then the World that's upside down of the Lovers there, which is also that World energy is the Divine Feminine, the 5D Lovers there. And these are two talking to each other or talking about them. All right, let's see here. From the Journey of Love. Oh, that was kind of messy, a little bit chaotic. We have the Man of the Earth, Woman of the Sky. Sorry, I got a hair here. Man of the Earth, Woman of the Sky with 48 is that Eight of Cups walking away within. And it looks like a bunch of women laying their hair down. And this is like in the pods on the show where they lay their hair down because they're lying on the floor listening to the masculine on the other side of the wall. And this is literally that energy coming up. And the other card that just flipped onto my lap is the Cosmic Butterfly of the 36 and Atlas and the weight of the world on your shoulders. This is very much the mother's energy of the butterfly and transformation of the birth and the breast energy here. The mother's milk, the feminine hair, the long hair, and that, that used to be a sign of nobility, right? To have that very long hair and to have it chopped off would be something terrible. And then we have the fall of the feather, right? So if you do it light as a feather, the fall is easy. The 14 of the Temperance card is the angels taking a step off the beaten path to the way you want to do it, taking it one step at a time and being patient and balanced and becoming light as a feather. There's one more that wants to be seen, then I have to count a few. Hold on. The bottom of the deck here is heart of the moment, the 16 again of the Tower, of sudden events, epiphanies, and sexual exchange of the heart here, very intensely in the heart, as I described a lot about the heart today in the technical stuff that came in. So that's the underlying energy, and the grace of the feminine is right below that. Her grace of dreams coming true, extending out a hand to the heart of the moment. And that's coming up as the man with sudden thoughts of a woman, as the feminine reaches her hand out gracefully to the masculine. Okay, walking away and within as the women all lay down their hairs, sitting inside the pods with the wall between them. A lot of chaos in the world. Walking away and within as the cosmic butterfly allows for the transformation of Atlas, right, to lay all those wands down and confess, or dump a load, dump their burdens, dump their responsibilities, let it all go, retire. The falling, becoming light as a feather, so that when you fall it won't hurt as much. And then this is the last one that came out, and then I just have a couple to read. And then she is the moon. So there's the moon. Again, I brought up the moon as an example of the M of the Mary Magdalene. The N is half of the M, or her other half. The two O's in the middle is the two human embodiments of source, googly, with googly eyes, right, under the moon in June. That she is the moon. She is complete with the 21. She's become pure within herself, allowing herself to be fully feminine and never being ashamed to have all of her feminine attributes, and allowing herself to be vulnerable as the feminine as well, and seeing the power in that. Yeah, there's a lot of different energies here. The walking away within, or taking a hike in the mountains, the weight of the world of Atlas and letting that go in transformation to that higher love, as she is the moon. She is that purple moon. And then these guys wanted to be seen too. There's only 3 more cards here. The hidden beauty of the 45 of the purge, right? Coming out of hiding, the reveal, loving all that is, holding space for something even if it's not there. The 22 of the fool's journey, with an open heart, taking a leap of faith. And then keeping it simple on the masculine side here, with simplicity of the 4 and the emperor. Keeping it simple. Right here. Here's the feminine. This is the feminine energy. And here's the masculine energy. Right? So they're coming together where the feminine's keeping it really light, not putting it all on the masculine right now. The masculine keeps it really simple. Right? The way the masculine likes it, very simple, so they can handle it or understand it, and also learning to hold space for something that doesn't exist yet, and allowing themselves to purge. Okay, so it's very interesting how these are paralleling with each other. And it can also represent the feminine here holding space for the masculine, right? Allowing themselves to suffer in silence, not just the feminine to allow herself to be feminine, but the masculine to allow his feminine side as well. Allow himself to purge and get it all out. Allow himself to hold space for something that he can't prove, right? Allow himself to just be himself. And maybe that's just very simple. But again, the falling is the letting go of control of the temperance. And then the emperor here is about having control. You know, it's like it's like allowing the more masculine energy to initially feel in control, so then he can trust. And then it's that melding of the 2 energies back and forth, you know. It's about supporting each other and each other's attributes and perhaps shortcomings as well. And she is the moon. Okay, and again, that can just be referencing too, right? Where men see women as complicated and women see men as simple, right? That kind of thing. Or maybe men see themselves as simple and see women as complicated. But it's that traditional way of seeing Venus versus Mars. So those guys are coming up. So let's see The first card out for the journey of love was Man of the Earth, One with the Sky. Let's see what that says. 48. I see myself in you and you in me. We may seem to be so different and yet sometimes yet so similar. Even beyond this, I know deep within that we are one. I can lose myself in your light and receive your light within my body. I can witness the darkness of your shadow and enter into it with my compassion. I can find the divine within our connection, letting go of what I thought I was. I can be broken apart to become as one with you, even if only for a second, and know the divine more intimately than ever before. Our passion leads us to each other, and in each other we find our true selves. This oracle brings you a message of sacred relationship that leads to divine understanding and experience. You are being opened up to sacred relationship, either in your current relationship or one that is on its way to you now, in human relationship and in divine relationship with the heavenly beloved. Know you are worthy of it and keep a light of gentle hope and respect kindling in your heart as you anticipate the union with your beloved. Know that even when it's dark, when it challenges you, there is sacredness unfolding. The love of the divine wants to reach us not only in our happiness, but also perhaps more so in our darkest hour. Let it reach for you through your relatedness with another, and do not be afraid to be broken and opened, for in that cracking of what you thought you were, you shall begin to know what you are, which is heaven on earth. And the poem reads, how rare to be born with a name of love, what challenges await that I must face, or voice to listen to from above, telling what I must embrace. Each day I walk a path unknown, with no regrets for where I've been. Each experience is mine to own, no choices call to live again. How strong I am to ask myself, the measured test unfolds each day, a blessing of enormous wealth inside the gift will always lay. And just my usual reminder of water, rest, joy in nature, love yourself first, and breathe. And rise and be love. Amazing energy, guys.